Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to all, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Vinuta, HR Head Outreach. On behalf of Pioneer Business Solution, it's my pleasure to welcome you today's webinar on managing multi-generational workforce effectively, building strong teams and bridging generations. As organizations continue to evolve our workforce and becoming more diverse than ever. With multiple generations working together under one roof, each generation brings its own unique experience and perspectives and work style. While this diversity forecasts innovation and fresh ideas, it also presents challenges in communication, collaboration, motivation, and leadership. Today's session is designed to help us understand this difference and explore particular ways to create a more exclusive and collaborative high performance workplace. So, before we begin, let me introduce Pioneer Business Solution. We are one of the India's trusted corporate training and consulting
Which one?
organization since 2015. The company has been helping organizing building high
On touch
performing
should I?
teams through learning and development programs, HR consulting, and organizational transformation and initiatives. We focus on corporate training, learning and development programs, leadership development, HR consulting service, and digital transformation training. From past 10 years, we have successfully trained or certified more than 2 lakh learners and delivered thousands of training sessions across multiple domains, including AI, cybersecurity, cloud computing, soft skills, IT, non-IT, technical and non-technical. So here a quick overview of today's agenda. Understanding generational diversity, communication across generation, motivating a diverse workforce, across generational collaboration, leadership and HR best practices. So now it's time to pleasure to introduce our speaker, Ms. Gautami Tangaraj. Gautami is an HRCI certified corporate trainer and HR specialist with over 15 years of experience in human resource, corporate training, and talent management. She has expert in HR strategy, leadership development, and people management, and has successfully trained and monitored over 200 professionals. With a rich industry experience and practical approach, I'm sure today's session will be the insightful and valuable for all of us. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Gautami. Gautami, over to you.
So thank you so much for a warm welcome. So Pioneer team and my best wishes to them. So thank you so much for inviting me for this webinar. Okay, just I'll share my screen. Please see if you're able to view it. Is it visible?
Yes, we can see.
One second. Is it visible? Not able to view.
No,
One
no, you
second.
can't.
One
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
One second. Okay. A warm evening. Welcome to all of you. So this is Gautami. So and I'm very happy to have my the webinar organized on the topic, basically, which is a multi-generational workforce management. So I before starting this thing, I would like to know like how many of you are belonging to all the generations. So is there anyone who have any specific thing like you belong to only Gen X or millennials or something like that, or do you have any people who belong to all the generation?
We have all the generation people.
Okay, so that is going to be a very good interactive session. So before commencing, I would like to make a kind of a note mentioning that this is definitely going to be an interactive session. So I don't want to make it a kind of a training or maybe a kind of a topic which is going to be completely done by me. It is going to be an interactive session. Okay, so how many of you are with me? Okay, so three, four, yes, yes, yes. It's very nice to see, and the topic is very, very unique. So if you see, this is from the background of HR. So since I am also belonging, so all my introduction is already given. So I would like to definitely skip this particular introduction about me. So with 17 years of experience in this HR domain and with various expertise handling under the HR portfolio. So this training is something that's my cup of tea always. I would like to always interact with people across all levels. So it's not limited only with one generation and with one set of people. It is always a kind of a collaboration, which was a part of my profile from the very beginning. So this topic would be an ideal thing for me to anchor it, I would say, because with the domain experiences and also with the varied workforce handling, so this become a very critical topic from the HR domain perspective also. So I believe like all of you are representing from the HR background, right? Or any one of you are from the business side in the group?
No.
Okay, right. So with this, maybe I would like to take you to the agenda overview about like what we are going to see for today. To start with, like we will understand the generational diversity among us and the communication, how we usually it happens between and across all the generations, and motivating a diverse workforce, like how and how we are going to handle that, and what is the cross generational collaboration which we are going to bring in, the leaderships and the HR practices that can also impress people or maybe that can also guide people to take it forward, and also the workplace scenarios is like what are certain scenarios is I will be trying to bring in, and few key takeaways and the course of actions which can be taken forward from all your sides. Okay, so without much delay, we'll get into the things and the outcomes. Post this particular webinar, you will be able to decode the mindset of the every generations, like how the generation actually think and how they actually work and what is actually expected from their side, and how we can communicate effectively in addressing that particular mindset, and those understanding can be even motivate the diverse teams in the various aspects, like what are the key points which we are going to touch upon, and how we are going to build the collaboration environment, and how inclusive environment we are going to make and lead it, and how we are going to make a future ready workplaces within us is going to be the outcome of this particular webinar. Okay, so we'll start with a quick icebreaker. Okay, yes. So just a quick icebreaker. Okay, so I would like to ask people like the varieties of the words that we have shared so far. So notice that no generation describe themselves as difficult or problematic. Yet in workplaces, we often hear labels like stubborn, lazy, or sometimes entitled. So this session will be moving from that labels, like how so far we have been seeing it, to the generations, like how every generation has the unique strengths, and when these strengths can come together, they create a high value performing teams. Okay, so the first question to you guys. So I'm putting a chat. Just respond to me in that. Okay. So which generations ideally you belong to? So I wanted you people to give the answer in chat. Okay, 2K generation. So 2K generation meaning it is Gen Z. Okay, millennials, Gen Z. Okay, Gen Y. Fine, Vinod. Okay, millennials. Okay. So your next question is here. So describe your generation in just one word. So read it as describe. So describe your generation in one word. Millennials. Okay, confused. Okay, opportunistic and flexibility. Okay, come on, looking for more exciting responses from you. Committed. Okay, Prema is so committed. Ambitious. Demographers. Okay. Experience both black and white color. Of course, yes. Okay, that was so nice. So thank you, everyone. So if you see, there have been varieties of responses. Yes, yes, open, adaptable, digital pioneers. Yes, 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 yes. So if you see all the responses here, I just see that no one have given or described yourself as difficult or problematic, right? So yet in workplace, we often hear the labels like stubborn, lazy, and entitled. And sometimes we also say that, like how I was explaining in the previous slides, like we have been factored or maybe we have been labeled sometimes depending on the sometimes on the generational way, or probably like how people assume ourselves, right? So every generation, I would say, like has a unique strengths, and no one is having some kind of so-called labels like how they projected so far. So definitely not. So thank you definitely for your responses. So with following slides, we will be more excited to see more like how we can move from this conventional way of we getting tagged under certain labels, and how we can make ourselves labeled into a common operating and also a high performing team member rather being as a so-called labels. Okay. Right. So next comes so we'll start with a story, like how as an organization, we are categorized as like a 4 generations working in one workplace. To start with, from the 1946 to 1964, we ourselves are being tagged as baby boomers. Okay. And Generation X are those who comes under the period of 1965 to 1980, and people who are under 1981 to 1996 have been tagged as millennials, and Generation Z are 1997 to 2012. Okay, so all these people work under one workplace currently and one client. We have a shared goal and we have a common concept called success. Okay, so that is the only motto which we are actually working with, though we have one standard deadline and with different approaches across the generations, and the team is wanted to become a stronger and a performing team. Okay, so though we have a different generation, different perspectives, one great team is what is the ideal expectations from the organization point of view. Okay, so let's see how we can work to make that happen. Okay, so this is again another small poll. You can I'll share that link also, so you can just give, or maybe in chat itself you can put. So which statement sounds more familiar? So young people doesn't stay long, senior employees don't like changes, communication is being difficult, all of the above. So what you are trying to say? So you can put it in the chat. Okay, all. Okay. So Amber, like it's if you're not okay, then you can just skip. So whomsoever like feel like giving a responses, maybe you can just put it in the chat. See, this poll isn't it about finding the correct answer? It's about the understanding perspectives. Okay, so how basically in if many of us have selected the same option, it tells us that these beliefs are common in today's workplaces. Okay, so many have been giving the responses as B, that senior employees don't like changes. So it's how the understanding and the perspectives, like how you, I mean, currently what we are having in the beginning of the session. Okay, so are these facts, are these assumption is something very important to understand. Okay, so throughout this today's sessions, like we will challenge many of these beliefs using some practical examples and the workplace scenarios. So let's start understanding where these perspectives came from and how we can mitigate those things. Okay, so thank you for your responses. Okay. So the generational timeline. So this gives you an understanding about. So we said boomers who are in the range of 1946 to 1964. So they were the foundationers, like who were the main pillars of any of the organizations which we are currently in. So they know the world well before each one of us, and they have their mindset, believe in a hard work and loyalty, discipline, and respect. So these are all their key attributes which they think that this is very important and it is a mandate thing like everyone should possess and in the evolving industry. So this is what the conventional thought process of so-called boomers, which we tag them. So their mindset is all about. Okay. And Gen X are people from 1965 to 1980. So who are the people who were started adapting to the evolutions. Okay, so the way the world have started growing up, and they also started, and their mindset was actually getting changed, and they were also adapting to the future perspective, like in the sense of being independent and how resourceful they can be, and how they can value the flexibility and the work life things also. So these are all the people whom they were the next generations, and who have been very independent and who were resourceful. Okay, so millennials between 1981 to 1996, we say them that they have got the technologies in hand. So they have everything what is actually the world is having the advanced things, and they have a very good connect globally, and they had the thought process where they can have their mindset with like more collaborative and their purpose driven thing, and they have the more optimistic thought process, and they value the experiences and the meaningful of the work which they actually do. So they have this particular mindset with them. And Gen Z are the people who are between this 1997 to 2012, and who are the techie savvy, I would say. So the world have grown with them, and they have the smartphones. And while they were already, before they come in, like already the technologies have advanced, and they have the smartphones in place, and the climate awareness and the global crisis, all they have been part of their timelines, and their mindsets are again innovative. So comparatively, they are even more little advanced than the millennials, and they are socially conscious and value authenticity, inclusion, and flexibility. So they have different thought process than the, and I would say that it is not a different thought process. Definitely, it's a advanced thought process than the millennials. Okay, so though different generations, different journeys, so they create the connection. So that's how the organization have been trying to look for. Okay, so each one carry the unique mindset and the value propositions. Okay. So if you see the myth and the reality is like Gen Z is lazy. So they say that Gen Z is lazy. So if you ask me, in reality, they seek a meaningful work. So it is not a simple tag that only they will be always lazy. They will be glued to their systems and they will not even think about any futuristic options. Definitely no. So they seek a justification for whatever work they do. So they definitely they need a acknowledgement and they need some kind of a motivation to work for. Okay, so basically boomers don't like technology, so they were the conventional people, so they don't feel comfortable in adapting the values, or they are not clear of what is the technology development is all about. Basically it's an understanding related issue and it is not a kind of a base default quality of those people. Okay, so millennials switch jobs often, so it's a myth again. So they stay wherever they go is what the current reality trend is. So because when we interact with the resources, so when we speak to them very often, so ultimately they give us a feedback and an understanding mentioning that they stay and they are comfortable in the place where they feel that they are getting motivated and where their works are getting acknowledged and their contributions are being praised. So they stay in that particular position. So Gen X dislikes teamwork. So again, I will not be with this particular myth at any point in time, because teamwork is something, it's a standard quality of all the people whom I mean, in every generation, because one single hand cannot make a noise. It's always a two hand which can make some noise. Okay, so similarly, so they prefer an efficient collaboration. So we can't go with the conventional way of like an imposed thought process. So they also wanted to be in the decision making. So they also wanted to collaborate. They also wanted to share their values among them. And if at all it's getting applauded or appraised, so they feel connected and they give the more contribution is what the reality is all about. Okay. So why multi-generational team matters? So in an organization, so it is always important that different generation carries different qualities, as we have seen in the previous slides. So one thing is it gives a enhanced problem solving. So these are all the benefits and these are all the strength if at all multi-generational teams work together. They provide an improved employee engagements and they reduce conflicts. Okay, so these are all the primary three important attributes, and in which like all of the problems and the issues among arises between the multi-generational teams can be focused upon. Okay, so for example, like a problem solving. So we have seen even in one of the reports of the McKinsey that 20% increase in the problem solving efficiency has been increased in the multi-generational teams if they are working together. Okay, and 30% of employee engagement initiatives and acknowledgements towards those contributions are also being there witnessed, and certain teams have seen 25% of the promotions and more harmonious and productive work environment if they have the multi-generational teams working together. So just a characteristic comparison about all of them. Once again, as for a quick references. So boomers, like they value loyalty, seek workplace and work-life balances, and they prefer the communication more as face-to-face. So if many of the clients and whomsoever I've earlier worked with, even if people belong to this particular generation, they always prefer to have a face-to-face communication. So because they feel that the more they involve and more they meet each other, it becomes more authentic way of discussions, and they feel that the traditional feedback methods are more effective in handling any meetings or any collaborations activities for that matter. So this is their conventional thought process, and they prefer a face-to-face communication rather a Teams meeting or any communication which is being preferred by the other generations. And as I said, so they have a key strength of experience, reliability, and ethics and mentorship. So they have a very good quality of mentoring the people with their broader expertise and the exposure. They become a very good mentor for the subsequent generations. Okay, so Gen X have been an independent and a reliable resource who also taken care of the work-life balances from the beginning, and they focus on achieving the results than being like with the conventional approaches. They prefer email, and they are very concise about the communication. And the key strengths are they are a very good adaptable person and good communicators. So because they give the exact understanding of what is actually needed, so they can adapt to any of the changing requirements because they have been part of already the transition which has begun in that particular era. So millennials again, like they embrace the technology, use various digital tools and collaboration techniques, and they expect a kind of a regular feedback and then opportunities. So this is the default qualities because I'm very recently monitoring these attributes more, because from the conventional people we have witnessed the millennials crowd being high, and slowly we are attempting to have the generation Z also coming in. So here we have seen that millennials, so-called Gen Y, like they expect a regular feedback mechanism. Even in our performance management system, earlier it was a conventional way of handling it once in a year as a feedback review. But now, with the millennials coming in and also Gen Z also attempted to start working in the working environment, the feedback mechanism also have been revived, and we have just made a kind of an update to the review mechanism within the organization itself, where we started capturing the feedbacks every regular period, like for say for 3 months to 6 months, depending on the role which they perform. Okay, so this way they feel that they are being heard, and they are also being part of the organization development. So they are the tech savvy people, as we said earlier, and they are a very good fast learners in terms of adapting to the technology with the recent all the developments in AI and so-called enhancements which is happening in the world throughout. And again, Gen Z, so they are even more fast ahead than the Gen Y, and they prefer the communication which is being very instant. So they are more active in the instant feedback communications, and also in any of the communication channels, like for say in Teams. So if I have to ask people to can you make some report and share it to me, they give me a review to be done by me in my Teams itself. Before, when this kind of task, when I assign it to my team member, earlier they usually sent a formal email and they request that these are all the things. Can I do this? Can you please review this and can you please advise me? But now the Gen Z becomes like they wanted the immediate solutions. So they prefer the mode which is even more faster than the conventional mail methodology. They even opt for a Teams meeting and they ping immediately. So Gautami, is it right? So is it can I go with this approach? So though they get the insights from us and they wanted the frequent and the immediate response from us, and they are very creative. So you needless have to see. So all the AIs and all the kind of enhancements are something which the Gen Z is all about, and which they are very much what to say, like interested towards it. So their diverse perspective, and they are more towards the entrepreneurial thought process. So even if for a 1 year 2 year guy, his thought process is like, when I'm going to start a new business. So their thought process have been changed from the conventional way of like their fathers, forefathers, like they have been doing a kind of a job, or maybe few people were very inclined towards some government job. I will do this, and I have a kind of a salaried mode of work. But now, if you see Gen Z, they don't even adapt to that particular thing. They are very fast in making a kind of a change where they are wanted to be an entrepreneur. So it's not that like it is wrong. It's purely the way, and they wanted everything very instantly. Okay. Okay, so there are certain merits also and demerits also in each generation. But at the end of the day, to have a better workplaces and like to have a collaborative environment, it is always needed that each generation carrying each unique qualities collaborate and work. Okay. So just a quick reference is like how they primarily prefer the method and the preferred communications. So from the email and from the instant messaging, WhatsApp, DM. So all these things have been getting upgraded and it is getting what to say evolved from the previous generation to the subsequent generations. Okay. So motivation factors for each generation. As I said, every generation carries certain values and they wanted certain motivation to perform their job. So if you say boomers, they are very loyal and but they wanted the recognition. Okay. So Gen X, they are very independent and but they wanted a flexible arrangement. And millennials, they wanted growth, but they wanted the purpose of that growth. So Gen Z, again, they are very innovative people, but they wanted a proper coaching. So if you see in each generation, there is expectations and the demands, but they are not able to fulfill by their own. So if they have to have, so for say if Gen Z, they are innovative means and they need coaching. Obviously, they need a collaboration with an experienced people before their particular generation. So meaning so they are obviously getting relied and dependent on the previous generations to give their values, plus they want what they actually wanted as a motivation. Okay, so it goes as a kind of a reverse learning. Okay, so for say Gen Z, if they wanted to be innovative and they need coaching means they have to definitely rely on the previous generation. So for say the previous generation boomers, they are having a rich experiences. So on the general business process, they are very much aware of. So these people, Gen Z, are techie savvy, as I said. So they can give them a kind of a technology knowledge. So and the business understanding can be given by the boomers. So meaning, so when they collaborate, it becomes easy for the organization to achieve at the final result, which is actually expected. So in this way, the motivation is also being maintained and they wanted what is actually expected from each and every generation. So I would like to present with one case study now. Okay. So I'll explain a scenario. So I wanted your response towards that. Okay. So there are 4 employees, one client. So the client is being a kind of a under the boomer generation. So let's have a meeting. Okay. So this is what the client is actually saying, that let's have a meeting, and Gen X sends the details and millennials collaborate on the teams, and Gen Z said that I will update everything on WhatsApp. Okay. So the question is, who is wrong? Okay. So I'll put you this. Okay. So I'll put you in the chat so you can just read towards it. And just my question is very simple. So who is wrong in this particular approach? Yeah, you can share your comment actually. So who is correct? So sorry, who is wrong is my question. So the client says that let's have meeting, and the Gen X send me the details, and millennial says let's collaborate on Teams, and Gen Z says that I will update everything on WhatsApp. So whose approach is wrong?
I think nobody is wrong, as they are having a different methods of communication and they are communicating in that way only.
Exactly. So you're right. So the answer is no one. Basically, as I said, each and everyone have their preferences and each employee is trying to achieve the same goal, but they are using a different communication style and which they are more comfortable with. Okay, so conflict usually arises when people disagree, but because they communicate differently. So great teams don't force everyone to communicate the same way. They agree on the communication approach that works for everyone. Okay, so the answer is right. So Amit Rana, you're right, and the other person who came online, so you're also right. So how many of you basically have experienced such kind of scenarios as in your job, or probably with your friends, whomsoever have told you like this? Any experiences with the teams you are working with? Have you experienced this in a similar kind of scenarios? So no, so no one is having that experience. Okay, right.
But Gautami, I had, the manager. She is not even Gen Z or something. She is millennial, I guess. So she used to tell me to update over WhatsApp, actually.
Mhm.
But I
So you're
appreciate that.
okay. So you are trying to say that your manager, you don't wanted to comment about the generation, but still they are open towards having a communication in a very instant mode way also, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I was saying. Like, it's not that each and every generation have some predefined thought process. So the conventional thought process will be definitely there, but it is always evolving, as I said. So it's not necessarily that Gen Z. So there has been a certain myth, so that they belong, they are very lazy and they don't adapt to any technologies. It's definitely not like that. So as we are evolving every day, I'm also seeing people getting getting advanced. Even if you ask me, in my own experiences, earlier days, like I used to book auto for my mother, so she is not very inclined towards, like, what to say, like the apps and things like that what we are currently using. So but for the necessity and also for the general needs and the expectations, so because she can't always rely on me that okay, you please book me an auto, so she don't wanted to pressurize me also. So she also started the kind of a way where she started using the technology. I have downloaded the app and I've told her like what have to be done. You have to go to this place and you have to choose the destination, and there comes the fare references for you. So if you are okay, you book, or else you cancel it, so you can see the waiting time and all those stuff. So that gives them an idea. So earlier she used to go down and she used to book her, and she used to take the auto directly, whatever it is near to her places. But now she is also getting upgraded. So it's not that every generations are having a predefined notions, but it is always evolving and people are also inclined towards these changes. Yes. So next comes the leadership strategies for handling this diverse teams. Okay. So to start with the leadership process, so you have to assess as a leader, you have to assess your team's diversity. So that is where you understand, you start like handling your team's diverseness. Okay. So you have to assess the team, like where they are and what are the generation they are holding and what are the qualities primarily they are holding. So not necessarily they have to be a conventional thought process, there can be always a change. Okay, but what is primarily their diversity is has to be understand, and it has to be assessed, and you need to understand the need from that particular thing, like what is actually expected from the diverse of that particular generations, and how the team can make some kind of policies and the procedures, and that can make them inclusive in part of the team's discussions and the decisions. Okay, so and also in case if you're not able to do that, there needs to be have a structural way of identifying the team members and what are the qualities they possess, and basis which like you take the necessary plans and you have the effective leadership plans decided and communicated. So this way the leadership has the strategy of analyzing the diverse teams, assessing them, and make a necessary implementation steps towards addressing the gaps among the diverse teams. Okay. So the implementation methodologies is very clear as previously said. So you have to assess, develop a training plan and create an inclusive policy that can help the team members to be part of it. The more and more you involve people, the more and more it becomes more collaborative, and the decision making will become even more easier. Okay, and you have to not just by creating and you have developing a plan, you have to also monitor the progress, like how the process are getting what is actually expected in the very beginning, whether it is getting translating it or not. You have to definitely monitor that particular process. Okay, so you have to keep a periodical feedback sessions to understand whether your need has been fulfilled or whether it has been achieved or not. Okay, so you have to gather feedbacks from the people on a periodic way, and what is the best things which can also handle from the feedbacks. You have to make the improvisations accordingly. Okay, so no teams have a standard, or maybe what to say, like they have a default progress which can be achieved unless and until there is a plan where the organization decides that, or maybe the manager decides that I wanted to handle my multi-generational team more effectively. So if the ideology is there and if you are having a proper plan towards achieving it, definitely all these things can be definitely implemented and it can be achieved. Okay, so the leaders are not necessarily that team members or someone, like they have to be a part, they are in the leadership team and they have to inspire all the generations. So they can't say that no, I will be very inclined. So the leadership team can be in any generation. Okay, they wanted some standard goal which has to be achieved. Okay, so how they can achieve it with the current multi-generational team is what they have to decide. Like they have to be very clear, like how they have to lead with as an being an example. Okay, so they have to understand, they have to connect with the people and lead with empathy. So empathy is something a very standard quality in for any organization transformation. It is very very important because they have to know what is actually needed, and they have to be empathetic, and they have to be adapting to the communication of different periods, and for a better connection and with a different styles. Okay, and they have to be ready in coaching, guiding, and you have to empower certain people. Not necessarily that only the leadership team gives that. There are few generation who wanted to be part of the decision making and they wanted them to be empowered. Okay, so the more, as I said earlier, so the more the team gets collaborated and more they get revenue generator only if they feel they are included and we empower certain people. Okay, and you have to here and there wherever possible, even a smallest thing also, the recognition of the each and every resource contribution has to be done, because so certain generations, as we seen earlier, they were all very particular about giving the proper acknowledgement and credits for the work they have done. So earlier, like it was become a job, like we have to do this completion of a certain certification, and I am supposed to complete this particular project within this particular timelines. Everything, it was earlier, it was been a very standard process, but now it is people like who are expecting that they need certain appreciation post they completed completing the particular process. For say, like if they are completing particular certification, they also expect that maybe some small appreciation from the team or maybe from the managers. So they feel that like yes, I have achieved something, so which is also important for the team and also for my individual development. So that way the recognition also is become very important point, and that also helps in the motivation of the resources. Okay, and finally, as I said, like including and whatever they have done, so we have to include them, and each and every resources who have been part of it, their points and their values have to be considered. So if the team and if the leadership team are very much inclined towards their team success, these are all the way they can make the team win, or maybe they can progress it to the next level. Okay, and few HR best practices are like how you can make a kind of an inclusive onboarding experiences, learning culture, career development, recognitions, and flexible work. So these are all not limited to only one generation. It is an inclusive options of making it for all the generations. So we don't categorize it for one generation. These are all now become a standard expectations across all levels now. So we are giving the appropriate ones for the people who are actually deserving. So the manager have to assess and they have to accordingly plan, and that can help the teams better performances and to achieve the desired results. So this is again another case study scenario. So maybe you can just go through it, and maybe you would like to discuss about the discussion prompt later. So the situation is very simple, that you are leading a project with the team members from different generation. So deadlines are approaching, but you notice miscommunication, lack of collaboration, and frustration within the teams. Okay. So the challenge is the Gen X feels millennials lack commitments and millennials feels their ideas are not valued. So boomers prefers things that the old way and they resist to change. So this is the challenging environment, and you being as a leader, how you will bring the team together and build the trust, and you drive the results what is expected. Okay, so as a leader, so what your roadmap will be of?
Being as a leader here, there will be like no matter the what generation it is, will be uh, understanding what exactly uh, where exactly the mistake happened and where is the miscommunication or something. We'll find out and we'll figure it out, whoever it may be. We try to communicate that, and according to the generation we can communicate in our perspective, in our purpose. That's what I can say.
Okay, so Amal
I think,
says,
yeah, like if I'll be as a project leader, so I think we can start this by building a trust that everyone is working for a one purpose, like the we feeling can be developed, and realizing them not targeting on a one generation, like about the this one second, the lack of that their ideas are not valued. They are feeling that, so we'll feel everyone that every idea is valued. Like we are not specifically targeting millennials that your ideas are not valued, or there is a lack of commitment from generation Gen Z. So we'll not target any generation. I'll just figure out that we are here for one purpose, and we have to do by hook or crook, by respecting each other ideas, each other dignity, respect, and as an individual also, that every individual is different, but here we are here only for a one purpose. So I think, like by understanding, this will take time, because it's changing a perspective from each of all of us. So I think that we can go ahead with this approach.
great, great, Amber. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, there were a few more. So Urvi says, as everyone have different ways of the working, and that's okay. We'll focus on one common process, communicate. Yes, almost similar like Amber. So right. Yes. So as you all said, so the issue wasn't the decision itself. Okay, so it was how the decision was communicated, and leaders don't have to satisfy everyone. So that is the default thumb rule, and but they should always explain the purpose, like as you rightly said, and they also have to listen to the concerns, and you have to create the opportunities for their dialogues. Basically, like what they wanted to say, and what is their opinion, and what is their expectations all about, because as you mentioned, so it is of all the generation. We should also just respect the generational the questions or their inputs also. Okay, so people are more likely to support a decision when they understand the why. So if they know the why, so why it is, and why we are doing this, and why we are handling all these things, and what is needed, so if they know this purpose, so it is very much taken care. Okay. So thank you for giving and sharing your insights, Rana. So that was almost similar to what people have said. So that is good. Okay. So from the HR best practices which you have seen so far, so if you were an HR head, okay, so what is the one initiatives you would introduce? So you can put it in the chat again. Collaboration and inclusivity training. Yes.
Opportunities and platforms like Monthly Connect, sort of thing, we can do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So monthly connect. So okay. On what purpose basically?
Just we can take the agendas one by one, like we can do survey for that, like to get the pulse of the organization, and that monthly can revolve around that only, like on a monthly basis.
Okay. Right. So what else? Like for example, some reverse mentoring like that, something like that.
Yeah, so like from different persons, we came to know that there is a lack of trust among the team members, so we can build a training session or something like that in the monthly connect on and around of this topic, or the communication issue, so it can be anything, like depending on the organizational need. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. So Shili also bridging generation through so similar to the points, yes. So or events. So improve R&R. Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. So these ideas are basically to demonstrate that creating an inclusive workplace doesn't always require large budgets. Okay. So sometimes small changes in how we communicate on board and we recognize and we mentor certain employees have a very great impact. So it's not necessarily that always the HR have to say that we need a very huge budget for all these things. So all these the smallest things like even as I said, the reverse mentoring, okay, and even a kind of a normal recognitions, like as you said, like R&R. So the recognition of all these things and even creating a culture of learning, okay. So all these things can help the people, like the smallest changes can make people and basically the employees being a very greatest asset of the organization and can create a very big impact actually. So also, so being in case if any one of you are from the HR domain, like you play a very crucial role in creating the systems where every generation feels respected and included. So all these thought process have to be there and it has to be considered while we are generating any new initiatives for your teams. Okay. So that's great. And again, like now, I wanted again from you. So far with whatever we have understood, and we have a very good people understanding about these concepts also. So now let's think about a reflection activity. So just complete the sentence, okay? So tomorrow I will. So what you will. So if at all tomorrow, so after the session, so what you're going to do. So what is the as a kind of a reflection activity, what is something which you would be doing it. So tomorrow I will. So you can just comment it also. So what as a player or as a leader or probably as a mentor, so what you're going to do from tomorrow onwards after this session, what where you see yourself and what is something you're going to do. So, for example, like you're going to coach someone or you're going to support someone. So something like that. So what you're going to do, put in the chat. So I will say that I will stop the stereotyping thought process of the generation that no, this generation is this is what, so they do only this. So this is something I'm going to do. So if you ask me, I will say that I'll stop doing the stereotyping thought process. Like I'll not go into that mindset. Okay, so Priyanka says that understand and respect all generation and reflect in my day-to-day behavior. Very great, very great. So congratulations. Thank you so much. So who else? Okay, so I'll assume that everyone will start having a different thought process. So the change doesn't come immediately after any webinar. Okay, it is basically like how you choose or how a new behavior you're adapting to it and how you're consistently going to practice that. So as Priyanka said, like maybe she'll also have to understand that particular thing and she have to make her behavioral transformation and she have to be consistent in that particular approach. Okay, that's the way like you continue in one particular approach and you are going to win in that particular way. Okay, so each one of us leaves today with one commitment. So I wanted everyone to have one commitment stating that we have already taken one baby step towards a more inclusive workplace from tomorrow. Okay, so just with this particular thought process, so come out and just be in an understanding that like I have taken a very small baby step towards making my organization towards building a more effective and more inclusive workplace. Okay, so keep it in that thought process. And I'm just sharing the screen. So the action plans for tomorrow, it's like listen, avoid the stereotypes, mentor the people and recognize the contributions, whatever they are doing. So all the smallest actions today will help you to make a better tomorrow. Okay. So start with a very small baby steps. So I'm going to avoid this. The stereotyping thought process is what I said. So there were a few people who were also saying a similar thought process, like we will have a kind of a collaborative understanding towards all the generation. So listen to carefully that what each generation is trying to say about. So if you hear and if you involve them and you just support them with wherever possible with the knowledge, informations and ideas, definitely that will empower yourself as well as the other person and also make you and the other person recognize the contribution towards your team's success and the movement ahead. Okay, so the stronger connection, the better results, if at all you are having under the inclusive thought process. Okay, so the key takeaways from this session would be like so multi-generational workflows requires the understanding of diverse trends and the challenges. So whatever they have as under the each generations, so the understanding of that strengths and challenges is something very important, and you have to emphasize the effective communication and you have to make a kind of a motivation tailored to the respected individuals and inclusive leadership. So if you started doing all these things, you will definitely see a kind of a cohesive environment for your team, and that will set as a precedence for the people who are going to come in the subsequent way. Like they see that yes, this team, how the team can become so success, like how the team can deliver solutions without any confusions or conflicts, and they are in a very harmonious environment. So they see and they take this as a precedence, and they give a kind of a team, and they wanted also to develop a team which is also following the similar approach, adapting and accepting all the differences and working towards one single goal and towards the team like that is stronger and the future ready workforce. So this is something the key takeaways of this session. And if you have any questions and discussions, I'm open for your points actually. So diversity isn't it just about the gender, culture, or nationality? It is always about like age, experiences, and the perspective. So every generation has something value to contribute. And if we replace assumptions with the curiosity and the judgment with empathy, and if the hierarchy with the collaboration, we don't just build teams, we will build stronger organization. Okay, so if you have a kind of a thought process that any great organization, how it was built and how how it has been handled, so it's like people have to don't ask everyone to think the same way. They create the environments basically where the different generation learn from each other. So this is the overall key takeaway and the understanding of working in a multi-diversified organizations and with the generations. Okay, I hope like with this at least one idea you can apply in your workplace starting tomorrow. Okay, so I'm just open for your questions. Right. So thank you so much for all your time and the patience listening to me. Okay, so if you have any questions, particularly in any of the topics which we have discussed, probably you can send a chat or probably you can reach out to Lingraj. Like I can just take your questions. I can share my responses in a separate window. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gautami. Yeah, Vinita, just go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I hope this webinar was an informative and interactive for everyone.
So I have one concern here. I'm not sure whether it is a question or what, just I have a concern. Like what we discuss with our managers, maybe they're millennials or Gen X or something. So what used to happen, I used to give, quick reply to them all the time. And if they ask anything, whether it is a discussion, whether it is a debate or something, doesn't matter whether I have done the mistakes, anything like doesn't matter the situation. I used to give instant and immediate reply. So I fall in Gen Z. So I'm not sure about this, how to, take it. But the thing is, always they give, with a concern about it. Like you have to, listen to others. I listen completely and then I give answers. But the thing is, I think might they don't expect a quick answer or something. They just want me to listen and no need to give any replies or something. And what your opinion on this?
Yeah, sorry. So this is not only the issue from your side always. Okay, so it is always a kind of an the similar scenarios. It has been faced by all at all our levels. So if you see in your scenario, I'm just seeing that in two different ways. One from the perspective of yourself and from the perspective of the others, and also on the third perspective from your manager side. Okay, so always when it is a team's discussion, there will be different perspectives. So that's what I said. So it is not necessarily that your thought process is wrong. Okay, or maybe your team saying that you could discuss along with the team, that is also not wrong. And your manager expectation that like it needless to be an immediate response. So that is also not wrong. Okay, but the thing is, what is actually needed at that point in time is like the way of handling the scenarios is maybe your responses can be the same thing, but whether it will what is it induce certain other conflicts, maybe your comment or maybe your response could be even in a submissive way, so it needless to be more aggressive. Okay, so the way of handling and the way of response can be changed, but not necessarily the way of changing. Okay, so in the sense like it has a different approach altogether. So I would say that you can still continue to share your insight, but you the way how you are going to share it, you make a slight tweak. Not necessarily it has to be more aggressive. Okay, so that can help you to figure it out, and also the team members are also will listen. So you can, whenever you're projecting or you're responding something, you give the reason why. So that's what I said. So the purpose is something very important. So if you know the reason why you are saying like that, and if your manager knows and why he is responding like that, and probably why the team members are commenting like that, why. So if you know why, so all of you, if they know the answer for why, so the scenarios can be handled in a better way. So I would not say all your approaches are wrong. So if you know the purpose, so the thing will be taken care.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Gautami, joining us, and thank you so much, all the participants. We'll be hosting a few more webinars, upcoming days, the same topic, or else we'll come with the new topics. Please support us and join us. We'll be having more fun like this and more knowledge gaining sessions. Thank you so much. Keep learning.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Gautami.
you all. Thank you so much.